Hi, I'm Diane Chia, and I am the co-founder of Livin, as well as the executive director of Millennia Village.
What inspired you to start Millennia Village?
So the backstory behind Millennia Village is that we operated it as a quarry back in the day, but we ceased operations about 20 years ago and decided that it would be a waste to not optimize this piece of beautiful land in Suramban, our hometown. So we decided to, one, give back to our hometown as well as build something that's a bit more meaningful. So not just an ordinary resort, but something that is beneficial for, I guess, the people in their elder years. So the founders, including my father, they are all in their 70s. So for them, it was very important to build something that they would also want to live amongst and live in and thrive in. So we wanted to, encourage people to look at senior living in a more optimal sense. So where they can thrive in this environment and live their better years with us. And that's why we created Millennia Village.
How do you balance the operations while giving high quality care?
So I think we actually really focus on active seniors. So they're independent seniors without requiring a lot of care. But of course, when we built our first phase, which is just for independent seniors, we still wanted to be able to cater for them when they age with us. So we have features such as sort of the lifts themselves. They can fit wheelchairs. Every area in our building is also ramp friendly, so we can cater for wheelchairs and minor disabilities, but we don't really cater for assisted care. So that's something that we want to look into at a later stage. But for now, we actually wanted to attract active, independent seniors who are very healthy and actually will just live a healthier life with us. So in terms of features, we have, for example, the lifts, the ramps, and things in the rooms, such as wider corridors, wider doors for the washrooms, and everything in the washroom, for example, will have features such as the bars and shower seated. So things like that, we also try to ensure that we have good premium facilities that can also allow them to age gracefully within our center. But at the end of the day, our ethos is very much for active living. Yeah. And in terms of, I think, finding that balance between, like normal operational and also having that compassion, it is about hiring the right kind of team. Your team has to essentially, it's almost like a vocation. So the team that we hire, they also have to have that hospitality style, business acumen, but also compassionate and care for the elderly, right? Because you have to be more patient. They've also gone through a lot in their lives, so you have to be kinder, you have to be a very good listener, and you have to be very compassionate to their needs. And I think that's what's been so amazing to see our team develop those skills, and really, they show a lot of compassion through their job day to day.
What are some of the biggest challenges you faced establishing Millennia Village?
I guess from the inception, building on a quarry site is also a challenge. You have to do quite a lot of blasting to make the landscape suitable for a resort, and it can be quite costly. We also ideated 8 years ago, and then it took much longer to construct due to COVID. So again, delays as well as, I guess we had wanted to launch a lot earlier, but we had to wait for it to be ready, and then also to make sure that everything was in place before we could officially launch, which was only last year, June. But I think more than that, the biggest challenge with senior living is that it is seen more of a need versus a want. So if you look at the industry as a whole, assisted care does very well, because when you need a caregiver, when you need assistance with your health on a day-to-day basis, it's something that people are willing to pay for. But when you tell them, hey, you're healthy, but we've got this amazing space that's going to let you thrive and live longer and live healthier amongst an amazing community, people don't see the need to do it yet, or they are not as willing to pay for that. And I think the connotations associated to the stigma around old folks' home, which is what a lot of people are familiar with. There's a lot of negative connotations to that, and that, in a way, has put a lot of pressure on us to change the mindset of what active senior living is and what how you thrive in your older years. We had to kind of educate the market and tell them that it's actually a worthwhile investment, for the actual economy, for your family, everything. But people don't really realize that until it sort of becomes a need. So I hope that in due time, that sort of, mindset does change. We are seeing it change, but it's taken a lot longer than we had hoped.
Your viral video on Millennial Village reached 6 million views. Has this influenced your business strategy?
Yes. So yeah, firstly, that was completely organic, and we were very, very fortunate. We were very, very excited, and it gained a lot of interest, and a lot of people came, and I think it's actually done a whole lot of good for the senior living community as a whole and the industry. But having said that, it has led to a slight shift as well in our, I guess, initial business model, because it ended up catering to everyone. So initially we were very focused on just seniors, and we were very set on, more long-term, 50 to 80 years old, and that still applies, but very much for our long-term residents. Because what we've now seen is the demand is coming from everyone of all ages. I mean, they are a little bit older, obviously, but we have people from, from the corporates to, church groups, wellness retreats, anything health and wellness related. All of this, interest has actually come through, and we are sort of seen as a destination for anything that's. So in some ways, we've actually had to allow for that resort, hotel, health and wellness components, more so than just emphasizing on active seniors only, which has also been well received, because the seniors that are there, they often say it's given more life to Millennial Village, with having multi-generations there, and they're able to bring their kids or their grandkids from time to time, and people come in and out doing events. They feel that it's, light, and it keeps them young. So I think that's also a benefit from, also having it be more open for the short lets.
You're also the co-founder of Live-In. What were the gaps that you were aiming to fill with that brand?
So Live-In is very much like my passion project. I'm huge on health and wellness. Basically during COVID, prior to COVID, I was already huge on supplements. When COVID hit, nothing could come into Malaysia. Anyone that takes supplements, especially for your gut health, when you stop, everything does not work normally. So I was really impacted by that. And that was when I was introduced to Live-In, actually. So actually they had one product at the time. And I was actually started off as more of an ambassador and then a consultant. And within, I think, 4 months, the founder then asked me to JV and become a co-founder with him. So I actually joined, and then we created more products and have obviously grown the brand a lot more. And he's more of a serial entrepreneur, and he needed someone that was more, face of the brand, who actually lives and breathes health and wellness. I mean, since then, it's been 3 years, and we are very much focused on, really great quality products that are all natural, proudly made in Malaysia, and very much focused on building a holistic community. And I think I've been so fortunate to be able to tie in Live-In into Millennial Village as well.
What major shifts do you see shaping both industries?
Major shift. I mean, I think for senior living, I'd like to see it shift in terms of being more active, more independent, and more aspirational. Because I think the stigma is slowly going away, but there's still those elements, especially with Asian cultures, the filial piety and things like that. But we are seeing that shift, and since I guess even in the past year, we've seen so many, say, developers now want to consider doing active senior living as well. But of course, a lot of them will still have the assisted care portion. So naturally, they'll still try to do both. But I hope that if more emphasize the active component, then we will see people gravitate towards that, and that will be so impactful for generations to come as well. I think that's what I hope people will associate senior living to. It's not the end of your life; it's a start of this next phase in your life, and it can be really, really exciting. Yeah. So I hope that will be something that, especially in Malaysia, it will translate. Yeah. With wellness, the market is more educated now, or at least they have more access to content and research, and they can just chat GPT and then find out your answers, right? So I think people are wiser. I think now there is that shift towards, I'm gonna actually go to the pharmacy, look at the ingredients, Do I understand what I'm going to put into my body or apply onto my skin? Things like that. I think there is that shift now, especially amongst the younger generation. They're a bit more savvy and a bit more discerning. So I hope that people do look at that, because often we're always compared to such a saturated market, so many brands out there. They've got this investor or this huge marketing spend and they just blast it out. But if you really turn it around and look at what's been put inside, and you probably look at the founder and say, are you guys consuming this every single day? Can you actually tell us that, yes, I do, and I've seen results, and I would give it to my child? I think that would be a very different answer. So I think that's the shift that I'm seeing and I like to see, and I hope that that's when people will appreciate high quality products and are willing to pay for them.
Are there any other industries or ventures that you're interested in?
Yes, I think I can never stop. I love doing multiple things. I am trying to slow down, but I think the whole health and wellness is always huge for me. So I'm actually doing like a Pilates training course next week. So every year I try to learn something extra. So I've already done like a mat version of Pilates, and now I'm doing a reformer version. And prior to that I was doing PT, strength training and boxing. And I miss teaching, but I also don't have the energy anymore or the time to teach so much, but I like to continuously learn. So that's one that I will always try to do every year, try to gain some knowledge and just be better and healthier and motivated to continue to do so.
Do you have any advice for upcoming entrepreneurs who are inspired by your journey?
I would say just start, because you can never be fully ready. Whether it's finding another co-founder or having all the resources or your team or the best idea that's going to definitely take off, you'll never have all of that at the start. So if you are passionate about something and you've already done at least some initial assessment of whether it's viable, because you should always try to also be, I guess, filling a void, right? Like, as in, you should also make sure there's some demand for it. And as long as you have, something to begin with, I would say just start, because any business idea will pivot, and you need to be agile. And along the way, once you've started, you'll get so much feedback that you'll then make it so much more refined and so much better. So that's one. And I think the second would be, I think with any entrepreneur, when you're by yourself, it's extremely lonely. So having the right co-founder, you don't have to have a lot of co-founders, but maybe at least one or two to bounce ideas, to complement each other, things like that. I think that's super important. So it's not so lonely and it's not so challenging. And the third would be, make sure you take care of your health without sleep, supplementing, or if you're super healthy, you eat super well, then that's fantastic as well. But if you don't take care of your health and you're not healthy, your work can't thrive either. So if you look at anyone that's successful, they have to be healthy as well. And also, community, I think would be the final thing.